Brought to you by 1AAuto.com, your source for quality replacement parts and the best service on the internet. In this video, we're going to show you how to do an oil change on this 95 Accord with a V6. Process for changing oil is pretty much the same for just about any car. You may need a jack and jack stands if your car sits low, a wrench depending on the size of your oil drain, catch pan, oil filter wrench, obviously some oil, and gallon jugs and a funnel for waste oil. Oil change is really similar on any car. And you can see on this Accord I've got it up on a lift, and I know most of you aren't going to have the spoils of a lift, but what you need to do usually is you'll want to jack up your car, and on this Accord you can place your jack, and I'm right here under the center. There's the license plate frame. There's a little hook right here. You can place your jack right under here, lift the car up a little bit. You'll want to place a jack stand behind the rear wheel here for safety. Okay, and what you're going to need is a wrench. Your drain is right here. It's on the back of the oil pan, close to the passenger side wheel. Again, just like most cars, either the oil pan is a square or kind of rectangular shaped pan that hangs down and has a drain plug either on the rear. It could have it on the front, or it could have it on either side. Changing the oil is pretty easy. You want to remove that plug, drain your oil down into your catch pan. Okay, and after you drain the oil, then you want to take off your oil filter, and you'll need an oil filter wrench for that, and I'll show you that in a minute. Then you put your new oil filter on and refill the oil. Okay, so here I'm using a 17mm wrench, and obviously that's going to differ from car to car. Putting up the bolt. Once you get it to a point where you can turn it, what you want to do is you want to loosen it up, and I'm kind of pushing it towards the oil pan until I can feel that the threads are all out, and then I can pull it out quick. Okay, and there's the oil draining out. Okay, so you can see my oil's still draining, and now I'm going to remove the oil filter. Generally, this is what your oil filter is going to look like, and it's going to be on this Accord. It's kind of nicely placed right near the passenger wheel here. If you have it jacked up, you can turn your wheel like this to the right and easily get in to get it. On other cars, it's maybe placed differently, but generally it's going to look the same. This is an oil filter wrench. It goes onto the filter, and then as you turn, it kind of grips it. Okay, and then the same thing. I'm going to take it down. You're going to get some oil that comes out, and as I get near the end, I'm going to kind of hold it up against where it's bolted on. There comes some of the oil. Okay, and then I'm going to dump it out into my catch pan and let it drain into the catch pan. Okay, so I have my filter off and my oil is still draining. I'm going to just let that go until it stops dripping. I mean, sometimes I'll let these go for as much as an hour. Get as much of the old oil out as you can. And what I'm going to do is wipe down where the oil filter goes on and get as much of the old oil off as I can. Okay, here's my new filter, and you can see I just poured a little bit of oil right in here. And I'm just going to take that oil and I'm going to kind of coat this rubber gasket a little bit. Okay, and then I'm going to take my new filter and put it right up, obviously where the old one was. Get it on there. Okay, and then once it's seated pretty tight like that, take my oil filter wrench and I'm going to tighten it up about another 3/4 of a turn. And that's it. Oil's down to a slow drip here, so wipe off the drain plug and reinstall it. Once you feel it get tight, get it nice and tight. And just one other note on draining is if you jack your car up, on this Honda it would be fine because you jack it up and the oil pan would kind of tilt towards the back and more oil would drain out. But if, say, your plug's on the front and you jack it up and you tilt your oil pan back, what you'll want to do is get the oil draining, and then obviously when you're not under there, let the car down so that as much oil as possible can drain out, and then re-jack it up and put your jack stand underneath, and then finish up. Okay, so on many cars, the oil cap will actually have the recommended oil. This one does not. So here's the manual, and this one is nicely listed right in the back page. You can see recommended engine oil is 5W30. If your book doesn't list it right in the back page, what you'll want to do is go to your index and look for engine specifications and also engine tune-up or capacities, and one of those sections will have the oil type in it. Generally, most newer vehicles, as of when this video was taken, are using 5W30 no matter what the engine size for regular gasoline engines. If you have an older vehicle, 4 and 6 cylinder engines usually use the 5W30. Larger V8 engines sometimes will use 10W30. And if you have a lot of wear on your engine, a lot of miles, you might even want to go to 10W40, which is a little bit thicker. But we'll now put in, this recommends 4.4 quarts of oil, so we'll put in 4 quarts, check the oil. We'll start it up because you need to start the engine up to circulate the oil and get it into that oil filter. And then you want to check the oil again and top it off if necessary. So as this last quart's going in, word about oil. I'm putting private label oil in here. I happen to know that this oil is brand name, just doesn't have the brand name bottle. What you put into your car depends on your budget. Synthetic or non-synthetic. Synthetic does last longer, you pay more, but synthetic you can generally run for 10 to 12,000 miles, whereas regular oil you should probably change between 3,000 and 5,000 miles. And also synthetic it's proven to be better for the engine. So if you have a newer car and you want it to last a long time, I would recommend going to a synthetic. This is an older car with a lot of miles on it, so we're not going to spend a whole lot of money on the oil. We're just using the private label stuff. So that's in. The oil dipstick is right here. Pull it out, wipe it off. Back in, pull it out. You can see the oil is, may not be able to see it, but the oil is kind of between the 2 dots, so that means it has enough for now. So now we'll start it up. Check the oil pressure gauge. The oil pressure light goes on. Now we can check the oil again, wipe it off. Back down in and out. And you can see our oil is down below that. Our oil is down below the dot, so we'll put some more in. Wipe up our oil a little bit. One more check. Oil's nice and close to that dot, so we're all good. Okay, so you can see my waste oil actually went into this nice convenient jug. What I suggest you do with your waste oil is take your catch pan and get a funnel and put the oil into old milk jugs or radiator fluid jugs or some kind of gallon jugs. Probably need 2 of them. And you can take it to a repair shop, and they usually have a big tank they'll let you pour it into, or you can take it to your local landfill or recycling center, and they generally have a depository for waste oil. And as far as the oil filter goes, what you can do is wipe it down, then rinse it and flush it with some warm soapy water, and then you can throw it in your trash or recycle it as metal recyclable. We hope this helps you out. Brought to you by www.oneauto.com, your source for quality replacement parts and the best service on the internet. Please feel free to call us toll-free 888-844-3393. We're the company that's here for you on the internet and in person.